Our next guest, Georgetown law professor David Super, writes, statements from some representatives of the administration seem to imply that executive orders have the force of law and that officials must follow them even in preference to statutes. That view has no support in the Constitution. The only way to make a law is for both chambers of Congress to pass a bill and then either have the president sign it or have Congress pass it again with 2/3 votes over the president's veto. The Constitution makes no mention of executive orders, and except in a few unusual cases, Congress has not given them special weight. It certainly would be unconstitutional and a betrayal of their oath for a federal worker to give executive orders priority over constitutionally enacted statutes. Joining us now is David Super, professor of law and economics at Georgetown University Law Center. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Professor. Have you ever seen such a clash between law and executive orders?
No, never. This is quite unprecedented. This makes Richard Nixon look like a shrinking violet.
And as you look at it, with Donald Trump saying in the Oval Office today that he will always abide by court rulings, we're going to have to wait and see how true that turns out to be. What do you see any cases here where Donald Trump actually has the better argument?
Not that I've seen, no. Much of what he's doing is not just illegal, but overtly illegal. Some of these situations, they could have done a lot of what they wanted legally and they didn't try.
What's an example of the worst illegality that you see here?
I mean, I suppose the single worst illegality is trying to cancel birthright citizenship, which is in the first sentence of the first section of the 14th Amendment, plain as day. That's pretty outrageous, but they're ignoring one appropriation statute after another that tells them to spend money and simply impounding it.
And when you say that there might be ways for them to actually get to some of the goals they want, but they haven't even tried, what would be an example of that?
Well, there is authority in law for buyouts of federal employees, but in order to do that, you have to have each agency involved make a plan so they're losing people they don't need and not losing people they desperately do need. There's no authority for this broad brush solicitation of resignations across the whole government. They could have done a buyout if they wanted to within the law, but they did something completely illegal instead.
What kind of, Donald Trump said today he can't imagine a judge being presented with illegitimate payment records and deciding that that should be allowed to continue. Of course, no judge has been presented with any evidence whatsoever to support the Trump arguments in any of these cases.
No, they've been sweeping with a broad brush. They're saying everything's fraudulent without providing an ounce of proof. The judges have been very clear. If there's something specific that's improper, you can cut it off. But you can't cut off people in need who Congress has said should get money just because you think somewhere, somehow, there might be something wrong.
And that moment in the Oval Office today when Donald Trump was asked, someone quoted Rand Paul saying, only the Congress can actually change the budget. Donald Trump said he didn't know. He's the only president who didn't know that that's a congressional power, apparently.
Rather striking, as you say. The appropriations clause in the Constitution puts Congress in charge of the people's money, not Elon Musk.
Professor David Super, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.